regular roads. Bridges and overpasses are going to ice over quicker than typical roads. That's something to definitely keep in mind if you are traveling anytime today or later tonight as well. Here's the view across the region this morning. North Augusta, one of the spots that got that burst of snow this morning. You can see some of those accumulations on the grassy surfaces on the sides of the road as well. The actual surface of the road where travelers are on, there's no snow that's accumulated, but those roads are wet, and with our temperatures near or just below freezing, certainly could have some slick spots in those areas. Here's Lexington. You can see there's at least a little bit of snow on the grass there, maybe some sleet there as well. Looks like they're catching a break at this moment in parts of Lexington County. Here's Columbia I-126, that roadway wet. Again, as you're crossing over the river there, be mindful it could become slick on those bridges passing over the rivers in Columbia. And we're pretty quiet in Newberry right now, but that's going to be a spot to watch later on today, that is for sure. Here's the big picture, and what we've had here is just kind of this leading band of wintry mix move into the southern Midlands and the central Midlands this morning. That's actually brought snow and sleet as far east as close to parts of the Charleston area and the Myrtle Beach area this morning, so an unusual setup there. There's plenty more moisture coming our way later today and into tonight. Atlanta, North Alabama, they've received some snow. What we're going to see here is primarily that mix of some sleet and freezing rain for the rest of the day today. Now, we could get a little bit more snow, and that's going to be most likely in our northwest locations here, Newberry County over to Fairfield County. But a lot of us getting this purple here, which is a mix of sleet and freezing rain, and ice is certainly going to be our main concern moving on forward here. So as we head to the afternoon, primarily more sleet, more freezing rain, more potential for icing of the roads. Heading into this evening, temperatures are going to be so crucial. If your location stays at or below 32 degrees, you'll continue to see freezing rain and the icing threat will worsen this evening. If your temperature manages to climb above 32, then you'll just get cold, regular old rain in your location. So that's something we'll be watching closely this evening and overnight. We'll see that gradually come to an end from the west to the east. We have meteorologist Clara Faith here as well. She's just outside our station this morning. Clara, of course, we've mainly had sleet here in Columbia. What are you seeing out there at this hour? Let's see, do we have Clara? All right, sorry about that. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties there. We'll get back to Clara a little shortly. Those of you watching on Watch Fox News on TV, we're going to go ahead and send you back to regular programming. If you are watching our coverage on Facebook, YouTube, and on watch.com, we're going to continue coverage for a little bit longer there. So if you'd like to watch us more, you can join us on those platforms. Again, if you're watching on television, we'll go ahead and send you back to regular programming. All right, those of you watching online, we appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll continue with a little bit more extended coverage. Try to get back with Clara here in a minute as well. But again, here's the situation right now. If you are just joining us, it's a mix this morning of some snow, some sleet, and some freezing rain, all leading to a bit of a mess out there this morning. Road conditions definitely variable across the region. Some very slick spots, others the roads are wet, but at least manageable for the time being. One reason to be at least somewhat concerned about road conditions is the fact that our temperatures are still at or below 32 degrees across the majority of the area this morning. Right now, 30 degrees at the Columbia Airport with reports of a mix of sleet, some freezing rain being reported. Down in Aiken County, we are starting to get reports of some ice collecting on trees and power lines. That's a huge concern later today and tonight. If we get too much ice on those, then we are going to have too much weight on the power lines, and possibly that could lead to power outages. That's going to be one of the major things we watch for today with that freezing rain threat. Another look at Future Watch. Again, if you're just joining us, the purple is a sign of sleet or freezing rain, and I think we're going to get a whole lot of that this afternoon into this evening. If you're hoping for snow, I think what we had this morning was probably our best chance at getting snow. There could be a little bit more snow in our northwest Midlands location, so still a chance of that in, say, Newberry and Winnsboro. I think the chances of us getting snow in Columbia are pretty low at this point, but it's not impossible. Heading into this evening, we're going to have a mix of either rain or freezing rain, and what you get will be determined by what your temperature is. If your temperature is at or below 32, then it's going to be freezing rain. If it's above 32, then it's just going to be rainfall for your locations. As we head to tonight, we're going to have rain continuing to clear on out. By about 4 a.m., we're done with this for good, and it will be just a matter of time before things start to improve on Saturday. This is a Future Watch forecast for potential ice for the rest of the day today and overnight tonight. This is a combination of freezing rain and sleet, and it is pretty significant. Right in the center of the Midlands, unfortunately, is where it's showing our latest projections for some pretty substantial icing. Could be over a quarter inch for many of us. That would be enough to cause very slick roads, icy conditions, potentially some power outages as well. Here's the model forecast for snow totals. Again, not much more expected. Newberry, Winnsboro, you might get a dusting of snow, but the rest of us, the chances of that look pretty low at this point. All right, as I understand, Clara is live outside this morning. Let's go ahead and get back to her. And Clara, we've had a lot of sleet in Columbia this morning. No snow in the downtown portion of Columbia just yet. What are you seeing out there at this moment?
Well, Taylor, it is pretty wet out here. Mostly thing that's happening is mainly rain, and it's very cold rain. That's why I put on a hat, because it's hit me in my face. Now I'm going to step out. I want to zoom in and let you guys kind of see what is the ice accumulation here in the downtown Columbia area. Now, earlier I was driving through Lexington, making our way to downtown Columbia, and when I say this is mainly what you're seeing, I'm going to straighten it up so you guys can see a little bit better. Overall, you're not really seeing any big accumulations when it comes to any snow, but you are seeing the ice, and the accumulation of ice is starting to get on people's cars, starting to get on walkways and things like that. However, this is going to be just a picture of what it looks in our downtown area. People are still out here on the roads. There's pretty wet. You see a little bit of ice by the trees and things like that, but overall, it's not anything too big of a concern yet. As we do head throughout the rest of our day, we, of course, are going to understand and know that things can change, like Taylor said. But this is just a ride, so let's get started. Back to you guys in studio.
All right, thank you, Clara. So again, as she mentioned, some sleet actually accumulating on those elevated surfaces, on the grass as well. You may notice if you're traveling around this morning that some of that's sticking to the bridges more so than the other roads attached to the ground. That's something to be aware of, as bridges can ice over quicker than the regular roads. So that's something that will be very much an issue for us throughout the day today. Here's some video of the sleet falling earlier this morning in downtown Columbia. One way you can know that it is sleet and not snow is the way it's bouncing off that vehicle there. So those are basically ice pellets, and that's sleet. Freezing rain, on the other hand, actually falls as rain, but then once it makes contact with anything outside, whether it be the ground or vehicles, it starts to freeze over and creates an icy glaze. And it's going to be that icy glaze that will be our main concern for potentially creating very difficult travel conditions. Also, it's that icy glaze that could attach to trees and power lines, potentially causing those power outages later on today. As for travel, here's what we're expecting. Of course, kind of hit and miss with the travel conditions this morning. I think that's how it's going to be this afternoon as well. The worst of the weather and the travel conditions this evening and overnight tonight. If you can stay home during that stretch, I would highly recommend it. Just play it safe, get your chores done. Tomorrow, when things are going to improve, might have some lingering effects tomorrow morning, but I anticipate with sunshine and temperatures back into the 40s tomorrow afternoon, that should be enough to melt away any icing that we do have take place out there through the day today and overnight tonight as well. I'm going to pop over here just off camera real quick, get a quick check of what we have from the National Weather Service. We have reports of some icing on trees and power lines near New Ellington, South Carolina, as well as in Aiken. We had a report of up to a ½ inch of snow near Saluda earlier this morning. It looks like that snow has ceased at this point. Now we have basically a mix of sleet and light freezing rain across the area. I'm also going to pop up our Facebook Live feed. If any of you watching have reports of what's going on in your location this morning, I'd love to hear from you on what you're seeing. We have had certainly some reports of snow in Aiken County, parts of Lexington County, parts of Saluda County as well. And as far as Columbia is concerned, it's just been sleet. Mainly that's been falling there so far this morning. Here's a view of some of the DOT cameras. Looks like that one is down. So let's go over to Columbia, I-20 on the north side of town near the Main Street exit. You can tell the roads are wet there. When you have enough traffic on the roads, that can usually reduce the threat for icing. They can kind of break apart that icing concern. You may notice that there's kind of a sheen here on the shoulder. That would be an area that might start to ice over a little bit quicker than actually the main lane. So the less traveled roads will tend to become icier a little bit quicker than our main highways, our main interstates. Here's a look over at I-77 at Wilson Boulevard. You're getting into northern parts of Richland County here. Does not look like they've had nearly as much moisture in this part of the Midlands as our southern and central Midlands locations have. This will be an area that we watch for potentially a lot of freezing rain and maybe even a little bit of light snow later on today as well. So that's kind of what we're watching at this moment. Clara is back outside again with an update on what you're seeing out there. Clara?
All right, so I went to go find a tree. I know you were talking about what the trees kind of look at. So just to give our viewers a better understanding of how these trees and these roots are looking. This is a tree in downtown Columbia off of Pickens Street, just to give you a better location. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see, but this is the ice and the sleet accumulation. If you guys can see that right there, this is what's starting to happen here in downtown Columbia. Now, of course, as the day continues, we're going to be seeing more of this. So this is just a picture of what the day is looking like and what it is potentially to happen. The sleet and the ice is going to continue to accumulate. This poor little tree, I know it's cold, and I mean, it is pretty much all over the tree. I'm going to move closer to the ground so you guys can see, just to give you a picture of what things are happening. And like he said, roads and bridges are going to be very dangerous. So you want to take your time. As you can see in downtown Columbia, a lot of people are still moving. The roads are wet. As you can see, that white truck is turning right now. So if you are going to be traveling, I suggest that you don't. If you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere. Stay at home if you can. But please, please take your time. Drive slow and be cautious, because these little buddies are starting to pop up. So you just want to make sure you take your time as you go throughout your day. Now back to you, Taylor. And it is cold, guys. It's cold.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Clara, for braving the cold out there this morning. Appreciate that, and appreciate the visuals. All that ice she showed you there, that was the sleet actually accumulating on the grass there. And if we get too much of that sleet to accumulate, that can cause the roads to become slick as well. On my trip into work this morning, about 1 hour ago, my tires did spin out a little bit as I was beginning to accelerate. That's something to keep in mind, is when you're accelerating and when you're braking, that's the time where you're most likely to lose control and spin out. So rather than slamming the brake, give yourself a lot of space between yourself and the car in front of you. And if you possibly can, just let off the acceleration and kind of coast and slow down rather than slamming the brake. That's going to be your best bet to avoid any spin outs or losing control of your vehicle if you do have to travel throughout the day today. So Clara, what she showed you there was the sleet on the ground. What we're concerned about is the mix of that sleet and freezing rain accumulating on the roadways, causing difficult travel conditions, making it slippery to walk around outside as well. Everywhere you see purple on our future watch is when we are expecting the ice to continue to fall, and it's primarily going to be that. The exception might be the northern Midlands that could get some periods of snow this afternoon. It will not amount to all that much. The bulk of the snow we've seen with this event actually occurred earlier this morning. We'll have video of that in just a second. Heading into this evening, a mix of rain and freezing rain. The quicker we can get temperatures to climb above freezing, the better off we're going to be. It's going to be a very close call, though. The farther north you are, the more likely it is that your temperatures stay below freezing for a longer period of time, and that's why we have those winter storm warnings in place for those locations, because that's the area most likely to have the biggest icing concern. And then we'll see all that clear out later on tonight. All right, let's show you some snow video from earlier this morning. This is from our reporter Joey Matei out in northern Saluda County. Look at all of that snow. I mean, that is heavy, big flakes of snow falling. Again, we had reports of just about a ½ inch of snow. So that image only lasted about an hour, 2 hours tops for parts of Saluda and Aiken counties, a little bit of Lexington County with that snow as well. We are unlikely to see images like that in most spots the rest of the day today, but so I know that may disappoint some of you watching. I know my kids were very hopeful that we'd get at least some snow today. I would say the odds of that happening in Columbia are low, but not completely out of the question at this point. If you at home watching this have any pictures, any videos, anything you want to send our way, please, we'd love to see them and show them on air as well. So you can do that a few ways. You can send us an email at news@wach.com. You can also message us on Facebook here, on our social media platforms, on X, on Instagram. Any of those ways, we'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the day today. So again, if you have any pictures of any of the winter weather you've seen in your location, you want to pass that along, we'd be happy to share that imagery. Be safe, of course, but if you have anything interesting to pass along, we would love to see that as well. So this is obviously something that we don't see too often around here. The last time we had wintry weather was back in January of 2022, about 3 years ago. The latest modeling for the ice forecast looks like this. It's not pretty. This is a combo of freezing rain and sleet that we're expecting for the rest of the day and overnight tonight. Anywhere from 1/10 or 3/10 of an inch of ice possible. Columbia certainly a threat to get some pretty significant icing today and tonight. The snow forecast, again, much lower, basically isolated to the northwest Midlands. Higher totals in upstate South Carolina, so I would avoid travel in that part of the state as well throughout the day and overnight tonight. Let's go ahead and send it back outside to Clara with another update. Clara?
Well, Taylor, I heard you in there talking about some ice, and since you're in there staying warm, I just want to show some people what it kind of looks like. It is very cold. Of course, you don't want to go outside and touch this, but I just want to give you a picture of what is accumulating. This ice and sleet is accumulating on the sides of the roads. The roads are very, very wet. I will say that. Luckily, I am looking at some of the cars here in our parking lot. The cars are not freezing over. By the time it touches the cars, it does melt on the windshield. So that is happening here in the Columbia area. Right now, the temperature is about 30 degrees. So it's still below freezing, but things like this are starting to accumulate on the roads, and I just kind of want to give people a picture of what you can expect and what you're going to continue to see. This type of stuff isn't normal for us, so please take your time out there on the roads. If you don't have to go outside, don't do it. If you see things start to accumulate in your neighborhood, tell a friend, and just be really, really, really careful. And again, I just want to show you guys this as we continue our live coverage across social media platforms. But back to you, Taylor, in the warm studio.
All right, thanks, Clara. All right, there's proof you can make at least a sleet ball out of what's accumulating out there this morning. So if you don't get snow, at least you can make the most out of that. So, all right, that is all we have at this moment. We are going to be here all day long, all night long to keep you updated on this wintry weather. Again, if you have any images to pass along, photos, videos, your family trying to make the most of this wintry weather and trying to play outside in that, we'd love to share all that on our social media platforms and on TV as well. So you can send us an email at news@watch.com. We also will receive those messages on our Facebook, Instagram, and X accounts, and we'll be checking those throughout the day today. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, drive safely. We'll be back for more later on this afternoon.